Yo, welcome into the Dynasty BS show. Today is Thursday, February 8th. It's B and Smitty. It's B and Smitty. We got tight end and RB rankings, startup draft rules, trade ideas, and best bad boy record albums of all time. So
Bad
listen, we're
boys.
bad boys, baby, but we're here to kick a little flavor in your ear tonight. If you remember a time when you had a Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, maybe you're too broke to picture this. Who knows? Then kick back, sip on some private stock, and enjoy. We got your host, Smitty, Mr. Carl Smith. For all intents purposes, we're calling him Big Papa tonight. You got me, Brian. You guys can call me whatever you want, but tonight, call me Puff, baby. So
Hey.
buckle up, let's ride, and get high, get high. Let's roll, baby. Let's talk about some new listeners here. So, Smitty, we've done some new startups. We got some new listeners. We're dropping this into some new groups here. So, a lot of you already know some of this story behind us, but I want to take some time. I want to talk a little bit about me and you, who we are, what we're about, what we do. So, tell me a little bit about yourself, Smitty, for the new listeners. Where are you from? What are your teams? What do you want people to know about you?
All right, I'm Smitty. Smitty Sato is my handle in most places. I am an Inland Empire native in California. Big, where are we at? Big Rams fan. You know, I miss those days when we're in the Super Bowl, but it could be next week. I mean, it could be next year. Who knows? Um, yeah, and I mean, how do I put this? I wouldn't say I'm new to Dynasty, but I'm new to being addicted to Dynasty. So that's where I'm at.
And the cool part, Smitty, is we started Dynasty together. Our first
Oh,
Dynasty
that's true.
league
That's true.
was my
Yep.
first one. And that's how we got to know each other. And Joe, if you're listening out there, girl, I was going to send this to you in a DM. Thank you so much for getting me into Dynasty. It's the one passion that I have in this world. So, Joe, I owe it all to you. Podcast, all of our listeners do as well. But for those who don't
Yeah.
know me, I'm Brian. You can call me B. My handle is BArms. What is it? BArms 2020, I think
2020.
is when it. Yeah, so I got to change that, but I feel like if I change it, then people won't know who I am because I'm in so many leagues. So I'll just keep that.
Oh,
You'll see me name my teams after random bands and all that stuff because obviously we love music. So I will tell you, Carl, huge Rams fan. You're already showing that off. Guys, I'm a huge Cardinals fan. This is part of why I love we're doing this podcast. Is Smitty and I were rivals in sports. We think about things completely differently. We do things completely differently. But we also have a little bit of the same thought process, and we always find a way to come together and teach each other and grow. So I'll tell you, so the people that are listening to this for the first time, like I always say on this podcast, we're not experts. We're not the greatest in the world. We're your everyday Joes that we want to sit back and we want to talk about football. We're going to talk real football. We're going to talk fantasy football. We're going to talk music. We're going to talk movies. We're going to talk about everything that gets us out of this world that we live in that's so hectic. So, new listeners, welcome in. Smitty, any last words to the new listeners before we kick this in gear?
uh, just welcome. Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, and by the way, anybody's got any feedback? I post every once in a while in some leagues, man. You got questions, you got things that you want us to go over. Send it our way. You know what? Maybe we get it right, maybe we get it wrong, but you're gonna know what we think along the way. So when we look at this, let's talk a little bit about why we love Dynasty, Smitty. So we joined this, we started this world of Dynasty together, and you know me, I'm a portfolio player. I'm completely addicted. I got addicted long before you did, and I made some of my worst mistakes, by the way, trading to you when I first started. So cheers to that. Won't happen again. But why do you love Dynasty, Smitty? Or
You
Big
know what?
Papa, I should say, this episode.
Well, Puff, I'll say this: the very first Dynasty League I was in, I pretty much treated it like a redraft. I just wanted to win, but in the back of my head, I was hearing, get young players," as we all hear. So, yeah, I just wanted to win, and I was doing well until I realized I wasn't in the top six of that first. I wasn't going to be in the top six of that first league in the first year. So I made this weird decision. I'm not gonna tell you what the trade is, but I pretty much ruined that team, like straight up destroyed it by trying to go for young players. I had the whole concept very wrong. But my love for Dynasty came from literally trying my hardest to get this team back up to just rebuilding, really. The process of rebuilding has been incredibly fun to me. So now I am just enjoying a rebuild process while in other leagues trying to take that championship down. So I just love the variation that you can do in different dynasty leagues, which just makes it's just another level added to your average redraft league.
Dynasty is amazing for that factor. So when you're a portfolio player, and Smitty, you're turning into a portfolio player from, we are kind of talking about this. How many dynasty leagues are you in right now?
Uh, I'm in my ninth one actually. I'm about to finish up a startup in my ninth, and ooh, I'm looking for lucky number 10. I don't know if it's going to be you. I don't know if it's going to be a league from one of y'all. I don't know, but I'm looking for number 10.
Well, I'll tell you what, you might be in luck because I said this either last week or the week before, but I have a certain structure of how I treat the off season. I start up my own dynasty league every year that I commission. If anyone's ever played in my dynasty leagues, I like to have fun. I like to mess around. I like to enjoy and have fun. But I put out an invite only. I'm not the guy that posts my league on Sleeper and says, "Hey, anybody want to join?" I put together the best of the best players.
Nope.
And you already agreed to doing this, so I'm sending you an invite. I got another one that I invited the other day. I won't say that name right now. I got another invite out to another manager out there. Won't say that name as well. But somewhere in the next couple weeks, all my invites to all 12 will be out. If you don't get an invite, it's not because I don't like you, but I'm specifically putting personalities together in this league as well that will mesh well, that will just add to the league dynamic a little bit. So,
Whoa.
yeah, we're going to get it out there. It's going to be fun. So that could be your 10th, but I got a feeling you'll do another one. You'll have more than 10 by the time rookie draft season comes. I'm in 25, 26, somewhere in there. But the
Oh my
beautiful part
God.
about Dynasty, this is what I love. You're right. It's about doing something at all times with different teams because rebuilding's
Hmm.
fun. Going all in's fun. Having liquidity's fun. But if you play in a portfolio, you're always doing something and there's always a game plan and a mission around what you're trying to accomplish. And then going out and trying to accomplish it is absolutely outrageously fun. And, one of my favorite podcasts I was listening to the other day, and they were talking about experts, experts. And one of them said, what percentage of leagues from a portfolio standpoint do you think that experts actually win? And you know what the reality
Hmm.
is? It's like 20%, dude. 20, 30%. Like, even the experts out there, anything can happen in this thing. Shit goes wrong all the time. And you always got to be ready to be pivoting. And we're going to talk about shit going wrong later and liquidity and all that good stuff. But that's why I love Dynasty football. The other side of it is, for my job, I'm a really analytical individual. I build portfolios, diversification, always trading, doing some crazy things. But I literally treat dynasty football like I treat portfolio management for stocks and bonds, and oh God, I love it. And I mean, we're doing a startup. We're about ready to finish it, and the damn Super Bowl's not even over. Of course, we love dynasty football. Um, yeah, so you know what? If you all, you play in leagues with us if you're watching this. So cheers, Brian, Carl, Smitty, B Arms, call us whatever, Puff, Big Daddy, doesn't matter. But Biggie, so let's talk a little bit about Super Bowl matchup preview right now. Anybody that's watching this show for the first time will know the only thing in football for team wise that Smitty and I agree on is we are not 49ers fans because this is an NFC West podcast. I'm Cardinals, he's Rams. So we have a common enemy. Um, with that said, we're going to call the 49ers, we're going to consider them the puff daddy of this contest. And then we're going to go with the Chiefs and kind of consider that a little Big Papa. And the reason I'm doing that is
Okay.
Big Papa's the GOAT. We got a GOAT coach out there. By the time Andy Reid's done, we're going to be talking about him in top three, four, maybe number one. Who knows? We got Patrick Mahomes on a way to, I mean, he's already got a Hall of Fame career if he ended tomorrow. So talk to me about the Super Bowl. What are you looking forward to? Any prop bets you're doing that are hilarious that you want to talk about? And who you got winning the game, Smitty?
Wow, it's funny you mentioned prop bets because I literally placed one like 3 hours ago. This is what I really want to see. I don't want to see Purdy be a god, okay? I'm not really looking to see that. And I'm not really looking for Mahomes to do Mahomey things. What I want to see are these two running backs going head to head. So I'm very excited to see Christian McCaffrey pass 100 yards if possible. And then if we want to go, I personally went with Isaiah Pacheco fantasy because I know he's going to get a touchdown. So I'm just looking forward to seeing these two running backs run it up. That's probably where my excitement will lie. And then also, I'm not gonna lie, I want to see Taylor Swift a couple times. Why not? And then I want to sing to Usher. Like that's my day. That's how my day is gonna go.
Don't fact check me on this one because I don't actually bet. I play fantasy football, but I don't bet. But I think someone told me the prop bet was over under like 18 times that Taylor Swift appears on TV during the game.
That is
Just
so high. That is
isn't that
18. I mean, because I get it. The games could be like what 3 4 hours. 18 does sound average, I guess, but I mean, I'd be exhausted by 10.
I can't I can't believe they just didn't have her do the Super Bowl. Her and Ursher, as some people would say, but
Usher, baby.
yeah, that'd actually be pretty cool. Me, so we spent a lot of time talking last week about experience and coaching. The Chiefs won the AFC Championship game because they outcoached Harbaugh. The Niners won the NFC because they outcoached Dan Campbell. For me, I look at this and Andy Reid is a better coach than Kyle Shanahan, even though he is a really good coach. We're talking about a goat of all goat. But
Hmm.
where this is really going to come down to it for me is experience of the quarterback. I rewatched last night on the NFL Network last year's Super Bowl. And what I like what you said, I can't believe we're going to agree on this. Like, I'm super excited to watch the running backs too because when I watched that game, all I was thinking about is, damn, Isaiah Pacheco, he's a dog, but he's a big game dog. Like something about the
Yes.
big game.
Yes. When the lights are on, he's playoff Pacheco. Oh my God. See, that is the reason why I had to get him in every single startup I possibly could. And now it's tough.
Dog, man. CMC is a beast, but we'll see. But I got, I actually am rooting for the 49ers. I really am. I'd like to see the 49ers win. So look, my wife's whole family is from the Bay Area. They're all big Niners fan. My father-in-law's got some health issues, and you know what? I'm rooting for the Niners for him. I got a big Brock Purdy shirt with a number 13 I'll be wearing for the game, but I'll tell you what, I agreed to do all of that because I said there will never be a picture with me with a 49ers shirt on. I will not have a picture with it because I don't rep the team, but I do want them to win this game. But I do think the Chiefs win the game because of experience. It's Patrick Mahomes, man. Their defense is playing elite, elite. And hey, listen, so Cassidy, if you're listening, so Cassidy is one of our good friends. Actually, he does our redraft podcast with us. And in that podcast, I ask at the start of every podcast, who's the best team in football? So Cassidy, he totally jinxed the Chiefs for like half a season, saying that he was. Then he started saying they weren't. They started winning. So who's the best team in football, Smitty, for Cassidy?
It's the 49ers.
Chiefs. Let's go. Hopefully I didn't jinx it, but Cassidy, please let me know who you say so I can bet against them a little bit there. So, all right. So, I think I like it. It's gonna be a good game, though. Do you think it's a blowout, or do you think it's gonna be a close game at the end?
Oh, I genuinely expect a close game because it's top offense versus top defense. That's how I see it, and I think it'll be a struggle both ends. So yeah, I don't see a blowout at all. I
I
think the
think it's
money
gonna
line
look.
is kind of like on it.
I think it's gonna look a lot like last year's. Like I actually do think the Niners are gonna jump out to a lead, and then I think they'll kind of just settle down. The Chiefs will kind of at halftime. I don't think they're gonna get out to a huge lead, but I think the Niners can start hot. That running game will get going. And I mean Debo, come on. I mean this seems like a really high T game coming too. So Kittle and Debo might run wild, but Pacheco baby, I wanna see it. So all right, you know what? We run a dynasty fantasy football podcast. Let's stop talking about real football, even though we have a passion to do that. I want to talk a little bit about startup drafts. So what I've learned, and I started learning this last year, that this is actually the startup season. And the reason that is we're going to get into the NFL draft, and then it's going to go right into rookie season. And if you run portfolios like I do, and I'm doing 25, 26, probably by the time, that rolls around, I'll be doing like 30 rookie drafts. I'm not building teams during that process. I'm now going to take care of the teams that I had a little bit there. So this is actually Dynasty startup season. And it's wild, but I want to talk about the crack commandments around startup drafts, okay? I want to talk about the rules that you have, the ones you won't break, what the mistakes are when you have broken those rules, and your overall thought process of what you're here to do when you enter a new startup draft, Mr. Big Papa.
All right. It's so funny. I typically One of my biggest things is I have to have a cornerstone in every position. I need a top 10 guy, and ideally a top 5 guy in every position. That's ideal, but honestly, these days I can settle for top 10. So my number one rule: get a cornerstone for every position.
So it's impossible to do that, though, Smitty. I mean,
I
if
don't
you are
know.
actually going to do that, what draft capital you have to give up to probably get that? Because last week we determined that there was really two cornerstone QBs, and the rest were fringe, cornerstone, and it was Mahomes and it was Josh
Josh
Allen.
Allen, yeah, yeah, that's true.
So you got to pay up to get that. Cornerstone wide receivers, we went over some rankings last week and it was 12. I would probably say out of that list, what do you think? Maybe right now with rookies coming in, we could maybe consider six cornerstones and the rest like really freaking good in the top 12.
Yeah,
Running
I mean,
back, we're going to
honestly,
go
we
over
can
tiers
say five.
today. Yeah, we're going to go over tiers on running backs though, and we're going to see how many cornerstone running backs we got today. So it's hard to do that, but are you at this point in fantasy football when you do a startup? If you have to have, let's say you get two cornerstone pieces in a startup draft, do you care what position those are first and foremost? Or do you just care about having
Ooh,
two dogs and it doesn't matter what type of combination they are? Because there's some
that
dogs on the tight end
is
side we're going to go over today, too.
that is a great question. You know what? You're right. It is unrealistic to get cornerstones at every position. But if it has to be two, the first position has to be the one that the scoring settings of the league pretty much rewards the most or the best. So whether it be quarterback, receiver, running back sometimes even, just whoever's rewarded the most. And then whoever's rewarded the second most. So pretty much whoever's rewarded, whichever position is rewarded the most based off the scoring settings. I would pretty much gravitate toward those two, which is usually quarterback and receiver.
Okay. So also for the new listeners, when we talk about any dynasty football, for the most part, we keep it really simple. We consider a start 10, super flex, tight end
Yes.
premium. We usually only talk 1.5, although we're going to talk a little bit more about higher than that today. But if we ever
Woo.
do anything other than that, that's different. We will tell you if we do start 11, higher tight end premiums. So I'm going to assume with that format, I know you might not say this, but I know you want your cornerstone QB in that format, and you want I would say you should want a cornerstone wide receiver in there. But do you think in that normal settings that we play in, and no rushing, points per rushing time, none of that crap, just you're good, PPR league. Do you want that wide receiver over running back still? I know you said last week you love that like dog running back.
Oh, I do, man. I do, but uh, li- at the end of the day, yes, I would rather have a receiver, a strong cornerstone receiver, over the Bijans of the world. Even though if I do end up with a Bijan, I'm smiling, but at the end of back of my mind, I'm thinking you could have done better with the strong cornerstone receiver. So yeah, I think deep down receiver is probably the best cornerstone to go with. Deep
And you
down.
know what? You got to play the game the way you want to play it. Like, I'm so sick of this. And I was a couple people I was DMing the other day about trades. It's like, oh, you won that trade. Oh, you lost that trade. It's like, you don't win or lose a trade because one, it's about roster construction, but you know what? Play the game you want to play. Everybody knows me. I play a little different than most people, but I'm going to play this game the way I want to play because that's how I have fun. And we'll see how that works. And you know what? When the day's done, I'm not going to win every other league. Like I said, experts only win 20 or 30. But I will talk about my viewpoint when I enter a new startup draft. It's
Yep.
straight up, give me the loot, baby. Just give me the loot. It's a straight stick up, stick up. I'm telling you, I want your assets on my team. Period. I want liquidity for what I'm doing. So when we talk about startup draft season, I was just saying, it's January, bro. It's January. We do not have to set a starting lineup until September. So the startup draft that we're just finishing up that we're going to actually break down tonight, you know what? You look at that right now, you're like, man, this is not a competing team. And it's funny, one of my buddies, Jeezy, you're out there. I love you. I was busting your balls, but I got this. Hey, Armstrong's building for next year, and I put in the chat like, what makes you think I'm building for next year? It's January. It's January. So I want to come out of a draft with picks. I want liquidity and I want the availability to go build my team to have it where I want it come September. Right out of training camp, I'm going to be light in running backs on my squad because it's January. The draft hasn't even happened. I have no idea what's going to happen in the running back world, but you know what? I'm going to have the assets to go get running backs to fill needs as I go. So my rule of thumb, it's basically number one crack commandment for me is you will not get a first round draft pick from me. I will have my first round draft pick when I leave a draft. And the reason that is shit happens. You
Mm.
never know what next year is going to look like. You never know what injuries are going to come or the player that you really, really liked, you know what? Maybe they bust. Johan Dotson, great example last year. You came out of a startup draft, you felt great having him in your lineup. Shit happened, didn't it, Smitty?
Oh man, I'll tell you another one I did, a personal one, man. Last season I did a startup last minute. Very excited. I love Joe Burrow. I love what the Bengals can do offensively for fantasy. So I was in, I don't know. I think I was in the tail end of the draft, and Burrow, though he was injured, I figured I can get a discount. Nope, somebody got him at his appropriate ADP. I said, okay, I'm willing to give up. I'm not going to say what it is, but I gave up a lot to make sure that he gave me Burrow so that I can have him be the cornerstone of this team. And as we all know, Burrow was pretty damn injured until he couldn't even play. So I really paid a lot for some shit to just happen. I mean,
Did you
you
give up a
really.
first round draft pick in 2024
Oh, you
rookie
know what?
pick?
To be honest with you, I did not. I gave up a lot of like startup capital.
Okay, so oh, that's right. You're talking. So I sorry, I didn't catch you were going to the startup draft there, but yeah,
Oh yeah,
shit
yeah.
goes wrong, man. You know, it just does. But I want the flexibility. Plus, that first round draft pick also, if I'm in the season, you know, my goal to start the season is I view the season as clips. So
Hmm.
4 week, 8 week, 12 week. That's how I look at things. I want a good run in the first 4 weeks. You give me some players like, you know, I'll go over some players I drafted in that theory, but if I don't get off to a good start, you know, through the first 4 weeks, I got to adjust because then it's a run to the pick 101, get rid of your assets, get the liquidity. But if I start off hot there, I want the assets in my bank to go then, all right, I had a good first clip of the season. What do I need to do to maximize the second clip? What assets do I need? And how can I go get that? So that's why everybody in here will hear me talk about liquidity. I absolutely love it. So second crack commandment for me, okay, Smitty, is I want to leave the draft with another team's first round draft pick. Don't care whose it is. Don't care about how your roster looks on paper at the startup because shit happens. I want two first round draft picks the following year for my liquidity, my ability to either go for it or have the idea of rebalancing to what I did wrong during the draft. So I want that pick. Do you have a second rule, Smitty, that you have for your crack commandments?
Uh, it's not as good as yours, but it's if you're gonna have to, if you want to root for, this is gonna be embarrassing. If you want to root for this team that you've constructed, and you're let's say a Broncos fan, got to get a homer, whether he's a top dog or the third string quarterback. As long as a homer's on your roster, your heart's in it, and you're going to give a damn about this team. And that's genuinely how I feel. If I don't have any Rams on any of my squads, then I low key don't even go to that league. I'm like, okay, that league's can either fail or do well. Let's go on to another league where I'm doing better or worse. I just care more about it because of a homer. I mean, it's how I like to play. It's really a terrible thing to do, but hey,
That's great because I didn't know you were going to say that. And my third crack commandment, by the way, is I do not want players on the Cardinals. If I draft a Cardinal, it's like because they really fell. There's really only one Cardinal that I really have to have on a team this year. We'll get into him later, but man, I don't. I want to sit down and watch a Cardinals game. Like I don't know. I get it. But look at you. The Rams don't disappoint your fans as much as the Cardinals do. It's been a really rough since 1989 when they came to Arizona out here. I mean, it's been really rough. So we get disappointed a lot. I don't want to be disappointed in fantasy. I don't want to lose in real football and in fantasy football, dude. But I love your idea. You know what? I put some homers on my squad this year. We're gonna, and I'm actually excited about it. So I'm gonna take your viewpoint. You've been selling me a lot lately. You really sold me last week on a lot of stuff that I'm gonna get into later. But
okay.
do you got any other rules? Because I got one other rule.
Uh, no. I feel like I've done too much damage with that one.
All right. So I'm gonna leave the fourth blank. I can't come up with a fourth, but I got a fifth crack commandment. Never get high on your own supply.
God.
And what I mean by that is, look, guys, we all think we know everything. Look, we all think we know everything. That's why I say even experts don't win a big, portion of their leagues. But it's funny for me to think that we're going to look at a mock draft right now and think those players are going to go places because that's going to completely change to what free agency looks like and what players are going to do what, who's better than who. Look at, I don't want to get high on my own supply and think that I know what quarterback's going to be the best quarterback or I know what wide receiver is going to be the best wide receiver. I'm going to let the professionals of the NFL go do all my scouting for me, and then I'm going to look at what the draft capital is. I'll look at landing places, but you know what? You don't get burned too much when the NFL says this is the best player. You know what? Some players later than that, yes, they go off. You know what? We all got burned by Bryce Young last year, but you know what? That's more of the exception to the rule. Usually dogs are dogs. The top dogs coming out are the top dogs coming out, and I'll let the NFL think about that. So I don't get high on my own thought process. Period. You know what? I'm completely player agnostic. You know that as well. So do you listen to yourself, or you just kind of how do you flow with your
Oh
information?
man, I tell myself stories nightly. This is what I do. I'll look at a player and say, what do I want from Kyler Murray? Then I just say, Kyler Murray, go to bed. Think about Kyler Murray. The dream might be, oh man, he had a perfectly healthy season. He ran for every single first down. You get all those bonuses, and you're terrific. Then I wake up saying, all right, got myself a top five quarterback. Because I love to get high on my own supply, as you say. I hear you. I hear you when you say that's dangerous. I actually really do realize I shouldn't be doing that as much as I do.
But you don't play the game the way you want to play it. You know what I mean? It's just like I don't want to overthink it, but I. So by the way, you're talking K1. You know me. I've said publicly, if he stays healthy, I think he's a QB1 next year. There's something inside of me that might completely change with draft, free agency. Who knows? But I think we're going to do some big things in there. I love where K1's going in startup drafts. I mean, I've seen a lot of leagues where he's going kind of halfway through the second round, but then I see him falling into back end of the second, early third. And give in a super flex, if you got the 101 and do you go Josh Allen, K1, we're going to talk about that later. But I love where K1's going. I love that I love that he's ending up on your squad. You got to root for a Cardinal, man, big
I
time.
do.
So
I do.
yeah,
It's gonna
but
be
I like
fun, man.
liquidity. I like picks. I trade with inside of tiers, and when I figure out my draft strategy, I go for it. So we've mentioned a little bit. Let's recap this draft that we're doing right now because it's pretty wild. So I'm going to go over the settings because this is actually one that has a little different settings in there. Let me pull everything up here on Sleeper. Give me just a second. So this is a start 10 Superflex, tight end premium, 1.7 or PPR, 1.75 on the tight end. And then you get a little bit of, points per rushing, and then you get all the bonuses. That's what's weird about, crazy about this one. All the big play bonuses you possibly can put in Sleeper, I think, are in this one. But we went over the kind of our first two picks last week on here. But just to recap our first two picks on here, Smitty, you had the 101 in this draft, and this was a derby. You chose the 101. I chose the 111, and it was a third round reversal. You went and got your dog, your cornerstone QB, how you like to enter a draft, Josh Allen.
The
I
cornerstone
went
of
the
all
111.
cornerstones.
I mean, that's a fantastic cornerstone. Dude, Josh Allen's the man. I mean, like, legitimately, if he stays healthy, he's always going to be a top three QB. I mean, he's always going to be. I mean, okay, let's say he has a bad season, he goes to QB5. I mean, get out of here,
Oh,
dude.
well. We're
Yeah.
great.
Oh, one other thing for our listeners. We are actually drafting rookie names in this
I
one.
gotta check my.
I usually don't do that because I don't like to think I know
I
more
was
in the
making sure that
NFL.
I
I
was
prefer to
one
draft
on the
kickers for
box.
draft spots in the rookies. But you know what? We're having some fun. We're doing this for the people. So at the 111, I went Anthony Richardson. So the first round, by the way, went Allen, Stroud, Mahomes, Hurts, Herbert, Burrow. Then we get two wide receivers off the board with Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb. So CeeDee Lamb goes ahead of Jamar Chase in this draft. Then we go Lamar Jackson. Caleb Williams goes at the 110. And that left me with the decision, do I draft Jamar Chase and go with the wide receiver build? Um, I decided to go with a QB build. I went QB right there. And what I was hoping was Marvin Harrison would fly back to me at the 102. He did not because Jamar Chase and Marvin Harrison went right after that. Bismarck, 61, I think it is. You have got to be feeling great about starting a draft with those two wide receivers in a PPR and big play bonus. Well done. But that left me with the decision of Jordan Love or Sun God, or what was the other last thing? No, it was really. Oh, I was thinking K1 there. So it was Love, Sun God, K1 were my thought process on that draft. I did that pick live last week. I went Jordan Love. I thought I went a little too early. I would have actually thought I could take the time and go back to the middle of the second round or maybe the 210 and get Jordan Love. I was wrong. I'm glad I didn't try to trade out of the pick. I guess I sniped a lot of people. So right then and there, I started the draft. AR5, Jordan Love. You pick a couple spots after me because you traded up. You traded up to get a second round pick. Good trade. You got your dog. Homer pick. Puka. What's Puka? Say the whole name.
Oh, Makaya Puka Nakua.
Oh, God, I love that, man. I love that. Your voice is so smooth when you say that. So you get your dog. You start off Josh Allen, Puka. And by the way, to get into that second round, you gave up your third and fourth. And I don't know if there's anything else in there, but you basically have third and fourth to get back up to get you a cornerstone second piece. And Puka, I do believe, is that. We ranked him wide receiver six, was it last week?
Yeah, we did
Okay.
6. Yeah.
So at this point in the draft, Smitty, tell me where you're thinking. So we're at the 204 and you're coming back up on the 212. Third round reversal. So you got 23 picks before you come back. What are you thinking right now in the draft at this point?
After getting my 212.
No,
Or
after you
before.
draft Puka at the
Oh,
204.
okay.
Like,
Okay. At that
walk me
point, I
through your
was
thought
thinking.
process of how players fell.
At that point, I was thinking, okay, I. And this is here's a commandment right here. Do not just please always go best player available. That is the number one best player available. If it's quarterback, it's quarterback. If it's running back, consider it. And if it's wide receiver, just do it.
So can we put
I
that as the fourth crack commandment? And I'm
Yes,
going to order a shirt that
yes.
has our crack commandments for Dynasty Drafts on it.
Dude,
It's
know
going to be
what? I
awesome.
love that.
Let's
Dude,
do it.
yes. Fourth, always draft best player available. So, unfortunately, I was strictly thinking I want my second quarterback, frankly, because of you. Because you had two dogs with Anthony Richardson and Jordan Love. I knew I needed to compete with that because that is a tough start. So, I was thinking, okay, so who do I want the most? I wanted Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels ended up going at a 209, which I love for him, but I wanted him at 212. But I ended up with K1, Kyler Murray. Veteran, but at the end of the day, he has that rushing ability that will always be reliable. So I'm pretty happy with the three picks. And then So I traded away my third round pick and my fourth round pick, and the thing about that is that 100% in my mind kicked me out of the playoffs because during those rounds, that's where you get your cornerstone running backs or another receiver that is just as good, or maybe even in the same tier as Puka Nacua. So even though I traded up for my round, I really kicked myself kind of immediately because I kicked myself out of the playoffs because every single player after him is like at least two or three tiers down below, and that's in every position.
So there's another crack commandment I did forget to go over, and I meant to talk to you about this last week. Thank you for reminding me about that. So we're gonna put crack commandment number 6 down here, okay? And when you're in a startup draft and you go up to get something, you have to get. Don't do a 2-for-1 trade. Don't give someone else
Oh, two
that
for
leverage.
ones.
The 2-for-1s are really hard to do, and I'm telling you, Smitty, like even if you give up a third and fourth again in a second, get a 12th back, get an 11th back, get a 10th back. Somebody will do that. Get the same number of players because it really helps in the long run that you don't give up that leverage. So that way on that turn, you don't think, oh, I missed the playoff chance. It's like, okay, I got value down here that I can find, or you can get a second round out of it, or something. Yeah, I meant to tell you that, but that's I'm telling you, always I want more out of a trade than a 1-for-1. You know me, I'm always going to pick you apart for a second and third. Like you're going to have to pay tax for a trade, but that would be crack commandment number 6 for me.
That's a great
So
one.
your
Wow.
your start, man. When you drafted Josh Allen in K1, I was like, ooh, man, that's scary, especially if K1 does what I think he's going to do. But I was right after that. So third round reversal, I did 302. So here's my thought process, Smitty. I was looking at my bill and I'm like, all right, so I obviously went and got my two quarterbacks that I hope are, I don't they're not the dog cornerstones. I hope they maybe turn into that because if AR5 can stay healthy, he showed QB1 potential. But that's a big stretch. We got a lot, a lot has to happen. You know what I was really doing right here? I was thinking to myself, I said, can somebody please just draft Trey McBride? Because Laporta was already off the board in a 1.75 premium. I was like, can someone just draft Trey McBride so I don't do it? So I don't have to draft my Cardinal because I'm gonna have to draft him if he falls. And I actually wanted to draft a running back. I was gonna draft Jameer Gibbs right there. And
Oh,
I just wanted to do it because I wanted to build a team differently than I usually do, going wide receiver heavy. Well, the 301, Bijan went off the board. Trey McBride was there. It wasn't even a thought. Draft Trey because I needed a dog. And AR5 and Jordan Love, they could be dogs. They could be cornerstones. But what I know about Trey McBride, I watched it all when he was on. That's a dog. He's in an elite tier that can give me a positional advantage in a tight end premium league. So right then and there, I drafted my dog instead of a wide receiver 8 or 9 or the RB 2 or 3. I wanted the positional advantage. So Smitty, after that, so I go AR5, Jordan Love, Trey McBride. You go Josh Allen, K1, and then boom, you're back up on the 512 right here. What was your thoughts? Because you went and drafted Kyle Pitts at the 512, which I really liked. I actually traded out of the 4 9, I think, thinking he might fall back. But what were your thoughts, and who else did you consider there?
to be honest with you, I needed. This is who I wanted. This is who I truly wanted. I had my mindset on Dalton Kincaid to fall that late, but that was insane of me, considering that this is a tight end premium league. That was full blown insane. So, yeah, he was taken. He was drafted at the 5-3, which is understandable. I still think he fell. But 5-12. Okay, look. During this week, it was announced that Raheem Morris was the is going to be the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, and then later on that week, it was announced that Zach Robinson, the Rams' pretty much quarterback coach, but he's really like a assistant offense. He knows the offense well. He was also uh, he's going to become the offensive coach to the Atlanta Falcons. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh my God, ATL Rams, ATL Rams. So who's going to be my Higby? And Kyle Pitts is a significantly better athlete. So ATL Higby, let's get him. Kyle Pitts. This is my first and only share of Kyle Pitts, and I'm only excited for him because of the Homer situation that seemed to have went by coastal.
Dynasty managers' expectations sometimes are absolutely crazy to me. And, we all have recent bias. We all have that stuff. And, some players come out, look, Sam Laporta just smashed. Just smashed. He went into the perfect offense. It was the perfect situation for him, and he freaking smashed. Kyle Pitts would have smashed as much as Sam Laporta did if he was in that offense. But here's why fantasy managers crack me up. He's 23 years old. Has he burned everybody that's ever owned him from a rookie draft scenario or traded for him because he thought you were buying low? Yeah, he's burned everybody. And he came in as hyped as the greatest tight end to ever come out of football, out of college. He didn't live up to the hype, but he's 23. Most tight ends don't even have breakouts till 24 or 25. Tight ends' prime age is when running backs die. Like, that's when they start. I love the pick. 23, new offense, new hope. If that hits, Smitty, man, you are in such a really good spot if that hits. So you and I got, hopefully the hopeful dog. And Kyle Pitts was a tight end off the board, 1, 2, 3, tight end 4 off the board. So I swing back, and by the way, so on my fourth round pick, I traded out of that. And I traded out because I want a first round pick. And I got my first round pick. I got a good trade. I like to trade, fair offer. But I traded to who was right behind me drafting on the turn. And what I liked about that is it gave me the ability to cluster, because I like trying to cluster picks in here. Because if I cluster 2 or 3 picks in a row, it's really cool to reach out to a manager and say, hey, for that first round pick, do you want 3 picks in a row in the 8th round? And give me a 12th and a 14th? Or something like that. Like, it's more enticing for someone to take a trade when you cluster those picks like that. But I also chose to cluster them around the turn so I could have a better control of my roster construction. But
Guys,
so I traded out of that fourth
at the
round
40
pick.
mark, he is spitting gems. Jesus Christ. I mean, you went into psychology a bit. Jesus.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you, man, when I go into a draft, dude, it's give me the loot. I want
Yeah.
your assets on my squad because I want the flexibility to build this the way I want to come September, October, November, December. So I traded out of that pick. I also traded out of my 5th round pick. I just started collecting assets because once I felt I had a positional advantage at tight end, I committed to my draft strategy of tight end build big time. So there were some tight ends I wanted on this squad that I knew where I could get it for the build that I wanted to do, and I wanted to collect assets to get there. And for instance, so those tight ends that I went and drafted, I wanted Ferguson on my team. I wanted some dogs on my team from. Oh, let's see. My computer's giving me grief here. Hold on. So I wanted some dogs, but I went and got Luke Musgrave. I went and got Isaiah Likely, who I'm big on. He's got a good rapport with. We're gonna go over tight ends later, but I went and got some dog tight ends. I got Ferguson. I got him where I wanted to, and I picked up draft capital, and I decided to make a tight end build. Now, Smitty, I texted you when I had, so in the 6th round, I had 3 picks clustered in the turn. I had the 6-10, I had the 6-12, and the 7-01. And at that point in the draft is when I revealed my draft strategy of going tight end heavy. And I was actually really proud of this one, that I didn't reveal that until the 3rd round. No one knew what I was doing until then, but then I made it very clear what my goal was. Smitty, you come back around and go Jaden Reed and Ramondre Stevenson. So that gives you Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Kyle Pitts, Jaden Reed, and Ramondre Stevenson. You sniped Jaden Reed from me.
You know what? I had to get him, man, because Jaden Reed is one of those players like Deebo Samuel, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, like even Jamar Chase on a great day, where they can genuinely run with the ball if needed to be. Like they get handoffs. It's so cool to like see such a such a diverse offense where all these players you think they could be wide backs. I mean, I hate that Debo made that turn, but he did. Like I think Jaden Reed is the next great wide back in this league. So yeah, I needed that. I needed that versatility. That's the word I was looking for. That's a lot of versatile offenses, and Green Bay is exciting for his future. So, yeah, I needed Reed. I really needed him. And then just speaking quick on Ramondre, I think he is the last type of cornerstone you can get. We're gonna do running backs later. We're gonna do like a running back ranking later. But I think Stevenson could quietly still be considered a cornerstone. Not the most exciting, probably not exciting at all because of the Patriots, but cornerstone esque.
I wanted to reach for running back. I actually wanted him on my squad, and I usually don't build around running backs. My thing is right before the NFL draft and free agency is there's no way I know what backfields are going to remotely look like, and there's probably three or four safe backs in the draft, but like once I got past those, I just it's like you know what, man, I don't want to end up in a bad situation. I'll go get my liquidity and buy into a situation.
I
But I
feel
wish
that.
I had the stones to do it, man. I wish I had a running back like you got Ramondre. I wish I had that, man. I really do. So you got a good blend of players going right there. You sniped Reed from me, and I just immediately went to my backup and stacked Christian Watson with Jordan Love. I did that at the 6-5. I had a 6-11. I went Josh Downs, and then a 7-1. I went Bryce Young as well in there. So I started to get a little bit of receivers, but I'm very weak in wide receiver right now. I'm very weak in running back. I got those assets to go buy. But what I did, Smitty, I wanted to give you some props from me learning from you because, man, I love that we learn from each other. But we talked about vets and what to do with them. And do you let them die on here? Do you draft them? And man, I've seen you go out and build some really good startup with some vets. And I realized I had a gaping hole at running back with I got a lot of seconds. I think I picked up five second round picks, two thirds.
Damn.
I picked up a 2026 second and a first. Like I really got some liquidity, but I realized that I want to do make a push for this, and I just want to take some chances. Smitty, I drafted Derrick Henry in a dynasty league, not knowing if he's going to retire. The wheels have probably fallen off. He's 30. I mean, nobody wants Derrick Henry on their team, but I build a team with some positional advantage in place where I'm like, I just want some touches. So I went and drafted Derrick Henry at the 12-11. And then he was my only running back until the 16th round. And then I drafted Raheem Mostert. My combined
Ooh.
running backs are 62 years old or 61 years old, the combined age.
But your
But Smitty,
second running back is Raheem Mostert?
yep,
That guy
100%.
was an absolute dog last year. I mean, what'd you say, the 16th round?
16th round, but he's 31 years old, Smitty.
Bro, the fact, bro, you dropped him in the 16th round. If he retired tonight, honestly, if he retired tonight, that's still value. Like you got a smoking great deal for an amazing running back. Like I'm so jealous.
I mean,
How
seriously,
did
I
I overlook
actually,
him for a
I
long
wouldn't
time?
mind. I would laugh if he retired because I was like, you know what, that dude had like 20 touchdowns. Like, all right, and he's in a good offense. He's gonna stay if he plays. So yeah, I got a kick out of that. But
Dude,
so let's
I
let's
drafted
take a look at.
Raheem Shaheed in that round. I mean, I'd much rather have Mosley than Raheem Shaheed. And while looking at the board, you drafted him directly after my pick. Yeah, see, I played myself on that one. You did a great job. Good job, man.
So before I traded out of some of those picks on the turn, do you remember when I said I'm gonna go get some veteran running backs, text you or something like that? My goal was to go Derrick Henry there, and I was gonna draft James Conner as well. Just some aging vets. And I traded out of that, and I didn't, and I ended up getting Derrick Henry anyway, and getting Raheem Mostert in the 16th round. I'm like, dude, that James Conner if they or it's Conner if they both play. So I'm gonna go. Let me grab your squad again real quick because you got some really good picks here that I did like. Everyone's down on Jamison Williams. I like him. I think you got him a good value at the 9-12. He's growing a little bit, but what pick I really like, and I got mad that you got is Rico Dowdle in the 18th round. Pollard looked like the wheels fell off last year, and if they did, who's going to be the running back there? Maybe Derrick Henry. Who knows? But right now, he looks like a
I
slam.
believe it. But I really had to talk myself into that pick because I loved his story. I love seeing his father draft his son. That was crazy. Emotionally to where I'm like, he's the watch my dreams get crushed by this massive monster. Rico Dottle just be a hip. This guy's ruining my plans. So adapting 16th, 17th, 18th.
I really like that pick, Smitty. I really did. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. We got some work to do when this is all done. I went tight end heavy for sure. Let's talk about your laundry list of things that you need by the time September rolls around on this squad.
RB2, man. I gotta figure out a way to get an RB2. And you know what? Here's the thing. Draft a couple random rookies that I know little or nothing about because in this draft we have to draft rookie by name, which is it's out there. We'll see if maybe one of those kids will shape up to be an RB2. Maybe the Chubas and the Ricos of the world can be an RB2. But yeah, that's my biggest hole. And if that hole is not filled, then I just have to start preparing for 2025.
You got two top 12 QBs and you've got one that's an elite stud. You have a positional advantage. And all you need to do is find some holes to get touches in your running back position. But you came out of the draft with picks. You never come out of the draft with picks. You got a first, you got I think a third. You gotta feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I mean I do, but I if the option, I mean I there was a point where when I realized I harshly judge my squad. Like you say, it's too early for us to even know what our squad is even going to do. But I just did not like the top six appeal of my squad. So at that point, as soon as I realized that, I said, okay, it's liquidity time for me. So I think it's good to like have an idea of where you are. And I'm telling you, the idea of top six, bottom six, that makes it so easy because that pool is so massive. But again, it's way too early to even play that game. So if you're just go
Yeah.
for liquidity, period, and then hey, who knows? I do have some cornerstone quarterbacks. At the end of the day, I might be a top six. It doesn't even matter. Just play the liquidity game, period.
Yes. Isn't it so much fun to do
It,
too? You're always wheeling and dealing.
yeah, you are, and then people are like, okay, I know that he's gonna give up his pick, so I can. I mean, he's gonna give up his startup capital, so let me just give a pick so I can get that draft capital, and they come due at that point. I used to be
Yep.
one of those
So
guys.
my laundry list of things to do. I did add Cooper Cup on this team. You know what? I don't care. If I get 1 year out of him, I get 1 year. Sweet. Sweet, 1 year. And I don't have any more. I mean, where I'm drafting him, Cooper Cup went in. I got to tell you this. I was actually kind of happy. Cooper Cup got drafted at the back end of the 10th round. He's pretty much an 11th round draft pick. Sign me up.
That's
I'm
just
good with
I
it.
hate
But
that, but his heyday was in 2021. How mad can I be?
yeah, it is what it is. But my laundry list, I got to get us some receivers. I got to get some touches at the running back position. And I got a lot of time and a lot of liquidity to do that. You got the same thing. We can tweak our lineups any which way we want, but we don't have to set a lineup until September. Like we'll build our teams to where they want to go. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about some trade ideas here. So we got a mailbag question for what do you need to give up to get into like top seven, top eight picks, things like that. Look at these picks this year. This draft class looks incredible. I think there's a solidified seven. I'm hoping, but I think that's a tier break that like you want to be in the top seven picks. I'm hoping by come NFL draft time that it's the tier breaks 9 or 10 for some of my teams I have out there. I'm really hoping
Oh, you
that.
know what? I'm sorry, I misunderstood the
But
question. So you're talking about in rookie drafts, top seven.
yeah, so top
Oh,
seven picks. Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. I didn't say that, but yes, one of our diehard listeners wanted to know. in a rookie draft, what do you need to do to get into the top 7, 8 picks? And that's where you need to be. There's three good quarterbacks in that. I think there might be an elite, maybe one or two. It looks like we have three, one just elite receivers that are coming out. We have an elite tight end that's getting more hype than Kyle Pitts at this point. Um,
Facts.
there's your seven. There's your seven. So Smitty, depending on how we feel about our team, is going to be depending on what I would give up to get in there. Because, if I get a top 4 pick, I know I'm either going to get a QB or a wide receiver. So, if I need just one, if I don't specifically need a position, I'm fine getting in the top 4, and then I'll get whatever I want. What would you give up right now to get into the top 4? Like, say the 104.
Oh God, if I really needed to, I would say this: the absolute easiest way to do it is to give up something that 2025, your little arsenal in that draft. No, honestly, a rookie from 2023 that did decently that you want to kind of re-roll with. So I would add like a Addison. I would even add JSN to something. If I'm looking to re-roll, is that the goal though, to re-roll? Because I feel like this is a great re-rolls class. What do you think?
It's an incredible reroll
Yeah.
class. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Addison's situation is going to be, but he's going to be sidekick to one of the greatest receivers to ever come out of
Mm.
football. I think it's a great reroll. I would rather Neighbors. I'd rather Marvin Harrison. And somewhere in those first 4 picks. But this is where you find out when you're trying to get like trading into the 104 who you're playing with, who is out there, and how do they play fantasy football, because it's going to take a lot. I mean, it's going to take a lot. And if you have these picks, they're so valuable. Why would you give them up right now? Like, they're only going to get more valuable. But for me, so I don't think Addison. If you offer me a 2025 first and Jordan Addison, I'm not. I don't trade the 104 pick for that.
Really, for that
That's not
package?
that. I won't trade that. And you know me, I'm a leverage player. I want the draft. I want 2 for 1s, 3 for 2s, those types of things. But that's not a leverage situation. We've got players that could be great, and if it's a quarterback, quarterbacks are going to be worth more than wide receivers. So I got the asset there on the quarterback side, and then what? A random first. I already have the 104. I already have a good spot. Like, Jordan Addison doesn't tip the needle. Now, what about Jameer Gibbs for you? Let's say you have the 104. Would you take Jameer Gibbs? Is not enough to get the 104, period, in this draft class. I don't know who's going to take that. If someone wants to take that, that'd be awesome. Seriously, I had Jameer Gibbs on my team. Please, someone send me a trade offer for the 104 for Jameer Gibbs. It's all yours. But would Jameer Gibbs in a first round draft pick get you to the 104? Let's say if you don't need a quarterback.
Absolutely. I mean, okay, if I don't need a quarter, yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah, because I genuinely, personally see Gibbs as a cornerstone RB that you can set, forget, leave him in that RB1 spot for at least 4 years. I mean, yeah, and then plus, of course, for like what, next year? I mean, that could be Shadur. Like, I mean, it could be. I don't know. It could be. I would say it could really be because you're taking off a cornerstone from their team. So, yeah, I'm actually quite happy with that package. If I'm being honest.
Let's say it's the 102.
102.
Jameer Gibbs in a first for the 102.
Oh God, no, that's not happening. That's not, no, because the 102 is either the top quarterback or Maserati Marv, and I would pay a dumb amount for either one. I mean, like, I don't even know the price tag on either, like, especially Marv. Like, I really don't know how high you can go with that one. But for the 102, no, I would definitely wouldn't do that.
For the 101 or the 102, so the quarterbacks we ranked last week, it would take a top 4 quarterback on that list to make me trade the 102.
Lamar Jackson.
Other than that,
I'm sorry. I'm gonna
I
do
don't
this.
know
I'm
if
gonna
I
do
would
it. I'm gonna
trade.
do it a
I
little
don't
better
know
for you.
if I had quarterbacks, I don't think I do that.
Jalen Hurts. How about
But Joe Burrow, I wouldn't even take Joe Burrow for the 102 or the 101 right now. It's going to take it's a king's ransom. This is a good class, man. We've got, there could be some serious generational GOAT talent. And you know me, I said I'd rather have Brock Purdy from a statistical passing standpoint than Joe Burrow just because of the draft capital in Purdy. So it's going to take a lot. I would say for me to pivot off the 101 or the 102 right now,
okay?
um, it would take some. If I had the 102, it would take something like CeeDee Lamb in a first round draft pick for me to pivot off of the 102 because I would rather just have either Caleb Williams or Marvin Harrison. Absolutely, 100%. Um, so it's going to take something big like that for me to pivot off the 102. I don't know how some managers feel about that. Maybe people don't care about this draft class and maybe they'll pivot off. I've got offers. I don't even want to say it, but I'm trying to get rid of Mark Andrews in the 109 for like a 103 or 104 right now, and I'm hoping somebody takes that. But what would it take for you to pivot off the 101 or 102?
Oh, that's a damn good question. Okay, if it's okay, so assuming Caleb Williams, if I choose Caleb Williams, I need quarterback. If I choose Marvin Harrison, I need wide receiver. Then let's start with Caleb. I'm gonna need Jalen Hurts plus, and I think the first round that you mentioned was great, like a 2024 first. I mean 2025 first. But deep down, I would notice that that's probably gonna be late. So I'm just assuming. I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna assume it's late. And with that being the case, yeah, I would take Jalen Hurts plus a 1-0 in the 2025 one first for Caleb. Now, Maserati Marv, I think CeeDee Lamb is a good starting point. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to go as low as Chase. If you say, hey, I got Chase plus 2025 first for your 101 or 102, I'll take it. I'll take it.
What about Sun God in a first round draft pick for the 102?
No, no, I think that's just a little too low for me. It's got to be either Jefferson plus, Jamar plus, or like you said, Lamb plus. It's just those three for Maserati Marv. I mean, because like let's think about a Maserati. That's a sexy car.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to trade the one of Marvin Harrison. Right as right now, it could be Malik Neighbors by the time the NFL draft comes, but just from where we're sitting
Mm-hmm.
today, I wouldn't trade him straight up for Jamar
Oh,
Chase.
not
I
straight
would
up.
not
No.
do that. I would absolutely trade him straight up for Justin Jefferson, and I would probably give up a little to get Justin Jefferson is the tear break for me. Like that's
Really?
that's dude, that's the thunderbolt, man. That's the wrecking ball. That is the elite of elites of elites of elites of elites, and he is so young.
Dude.
Like we've seen him be wide receiver one, and he has that potential. So that is the one side, but after that, I wouldn't I need more than just that. But I want to break this down a little bit differently, Spitty. Okay, so let's say you're trying to trade back from the 101 or the 102.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would feel safe at that point, probably 5 to 7, if I could trade back into that range. What would it take for a manager with a 105 to get your 102 right now?
Oh god.
And keep
Okay.
in mind, at the 105, you still have, depending on people draft, you're going to have a QB, a wide receiver, or an elite tight end.
Honest to God. Honest to God. Honest to God. Like I look. You can throw this offer at me now. Lamar plus the 105 for the 101. You got it. You got it.
Yep, smash that. Except um, CD Lamb in the 105 to get to the 102.
I was accept the yes, yes. That's a
I'd
smash for
smash
me right
that.
there. That's a some miggity smash. Yeah, yeah.
Sun God and the 106 to get to the
You
102.
got it. You got it.
Okay. Um, who do we have ranked right after Sun? Puka Nakua and the 106 to get to the 102.
Now that is well. The greatest thing about Puka Nakua is he is now officially a have one on his. He has 1 year in, which means he is incredibly young for all he's done. So if you want to add that with a, did you say 106 for
106.
the 102?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Puka points on me, it does a lot. So I'd say, yeah, please send me that offer tonight. Please, I'd do it.
Okay.
What about
We're
you? What
getting
about you?
real
Would you
close.
do that? Since you don't have the
We're
Puka
getting really
points.
close to the tier break that I don't know if I do that deal. I probably don't. I probably want to look at a different trade with different
Okay.
players. Um, I don't know if I do the Puka trade. Yeah, I don't know. I think I need the 106 in a top 4, 5 wide receiver, and I know we ranked him 6, but Stafford feeds his dogs, and Stafford's not going to be around forever. And I might want to roll Marvin there.
All right, I have one. I have
But
one
we're
for
getting
you.
the
I have one for you. So, assuming Caleb Williams is the 101, would you trade away Anthony Richardson in the 107 for Caleb Williams?
I would not trade that, and I would accept that.
Okay, yeah, I guess that was the question. That was that perfect answer. Perfect, perfect answer. Yeah, I agree.
Now, if it's AR5 in the 108, I do not accept that trade because I want in this draft class as it sits today a top 7 pick, or you're not going to get the 101 from me.
Okay.
Like that's just the way I see it right now because we get into some people that are probably going to be pretty good. So, you know, one of the what's the other dude? Brian Thompson. You know, I mean, we get into that range, they're going to be there, but they don't come with the pedigree that the first top 7 are going to be. So there's some ideas to get in now. If I'm sitting also kind of where, when I look at the tier break, we got the big 7 right now. I'm not making moves on any draft picks I'm not selling any draft picks right now for sure because those are only going to get more valuable as the draft season comes and then come and get them. If the price is right, we'll sell them at that point. But as it sits today with the tier break, if I've got between the 8 and the 12, I'm either trying to buy a player with that and a package to tier up at that point with one of those players, and hopefully someone thinks the tier breaks 109, or I'm trying to get something and kick that pick into 2025 and re-roll the pick, and hopefully it's better than a top 8. Is I just process that on the back end of that. Um, do you kind of feel the same way? Or are you comfortable picking in the 8 to 10 range right now?
Honest to God, my first immediate thoughts were, let's get them veterans. Like, let's just get a top performing veteran. I mean, like, I was thinking AJ Brown, honestly, for like a 108. If that's where the tier break is, I'm okay with giving away the 108 for an AJ Brown. I think that is something I would do.
Yeah, and that's going to be right about where. Yeah, I mean that's a solid deal for the tier break. Let's say the tier breaks at 10,
Okay.
and we get. I mean, look at these mocks. They're mocking like 9 of the first 11 players to be quarterbacks, wide receivers. Dude, it's
Yeah, it's
insane.
very
There's
fantasy
no way
friendly.
it's going to pan out to be that. So let's say there's 4. Let's say there's 5 first round drafted wide receivers. So if there's 5, that would put the tier break at 9. Let's say you have that same 8 and there's 2 extra people that aren't projected to be drafted in the first round in the class.
Hmm.
Do you still make that trade for AJ Brown? Because now I want a second back. I want something on top of AJ Brown for first round draft capital, wide receivers.
At my floor, yeah, I would be, and it's clearly only because of Kellen Moore. It's only because of the Kellen Moore effect. But you're right. Deep down, I should be trying to get more if I'm gonna go off for AJ Brown there.
Okay. All right. So I think we kind of got some establishment on picks, but the back part of this question was when do you tier up and when do you tier down? And I think it really comes into pick conversation anyway. And I would say it's on your roster construction of what you're trying to do. And I'm tearing up and tearing down all the time. And if I can tear down one tier and get a first round pick, I'm cool with that trade. Like, I'll still go buy something somewhere later or
I mean,
whatever it
let's be
is.
honest, that's the
But
funnest type of trade. A tear down that's like so savvy, it's only one tier down, yet you still get the first. Oh, that's the funnest trade that could be done. Oh my god, I love me a tear down, bro.
so one trade that I texted you, we talked about it like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I told you to try to get done. I'm willing to bet that there's people in your dynasty leagues that will literally give you a first round draft pick and the Sun God for Jamar Chase
Such a
and a
savvy play.
throw-in piece. Yeah, I mean, Jamar Chase still has that hype, that big, 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 big time hype, and locked to the quarterback forever. So things like that's tearing down at its best, And I tear up all the time. And if anyone looks at my squads that from outside of my first two dynasty teams I ever built, I'm trying to rebuild those right now. But I like liquidity. I like picks because there's chances in the season that I'm gonna tear up if those clips I talked about, if I start and have a really good clip in the first part and a good clip or a decent clip in the second, dude, I'm gonna tear the up, dude. Like no doubt about that. I'm gonna go try to get a wrecking ball for the friggin' playoffs. Like so, it's all about your roster construction, but you should be tearing up and tearing down at all times. I mean, the goal of every fantasy manager should be to win the league. And I know that sometimes our teams things go south and we gotta rebuild and we're trying to get the 101 and those types of things, but like that shouldn't be your goal from day one. Crap goes wrong, then yeah, go for it. Tear it down, get your 101, do whatever you need to do. But like we should have the arsenal and the ability and the liquidity and the money in the bank to be able to go tear the fuck up when we want to go win, dude.
Yeah.
So I mean, how do you feel about tearing up and tearing down? I mean, you talked about
Ooh,
tearing down. What about up? How do you
tearing
treat
down. I
tearing
mean,
up? Tearing
yeah,
up.
like I said, I adore tearing down because it's so sad because it's like you're really playing with the how does that person feel about this player? How do I feel? But I'm tearing up. Oh god. Oh man, when I successfully tear up, oh I'm so happy. Like I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Even though I mentioned in that startup that I feel like tearing up in that startup, getting rid of the third and fourth startup pick for a second. Even though I did say that straight up took me out of the playoffs in my mind, I teared up for a Ram. Like I teared up for my boy. Like that felt great. I smiled ear to ear for an hour at least, at the very least. So, oh man, a fun tear up. Oh, when you get a dog on your team and you paid what a couple, pups for a dog, I'm okay with that.
And keep in mind, you got those picks. I'm willing to bet if you start off and have a good first, second, good clips there, I'm willing to bet you that you can go get a very good top 12 running back for a first round draft pick.
Hey,
Because if you send me a first round draft pick for anyone other than three running backs right now, vamos, don't care. Have a good one. It's yours. Um, so yeah, you're going to be able to get that, and I bet you'll be able to get 204 Kyron Williams mid-season
mm,
if you need. Maybe you throw in a couple nobody pieces just to tear up because you need that there. So always be tearing up is the moral story, right,
always be
Smitty?
tearing
Tearing
up in
down,
savvy.
you know.
If you're gonna tear down, do it in a savvy way. Just just have a real belief for who these players are, despite their names. Gotta understand their game. That's all.
Put in the work and always be doing something. If you're a portfolio player, dude, I'm tearing up and down everywhere, rebuilding, going for it, But just remember, we don't have to set a lineup until September.
True.
So, all right, man, let's we got a question in here from Jeezy. I love you. I'm only going to talk about half of this. I changed it up on you a little bit. But here's our would you rather question for the day. Would you rather jump out of an airplane with a 50-50 chance that the parachute will open, or would you rather go down in the Titan submersible as it went down to the Titanic, where everyone lost oxygen down there, or would you rather go do that with a 50-50 chance of coming back up? So 50-50 chance of falling to your death, or 50-50 chance of dying of lack of oxygen or whatever down there.
I'm gonna be honest. There were. It's not funny. Not funny at all. There were videos saying, "Hey, this is what it looks like when you collapse in the submersible. And that video, that little thing that they drew up, looked terrifying. Oh my god, I wouldn't wish that on my enemies. So yeah, I free falling to a potential death sounds way better than collapsing in a submersible, in my opinion. What do you say?
You know, what I like. All right, so one, it was pitch black pretty much in that submersible thing. I'm not doing that. Look, if I had a 100% chance of actually making it back up, I'm still not doing that, dude. I don't want to go down in the submarine. I have ADHD. I gotta be moving. Like, I'm claustrophobic. There's no way I'm doing that. Period. And what I kind of thought about the 50-50 on the parachute. So if I knew I had this choice, I would grab my big ass headphones and I'd grab my phone. I would turn on some Tom Petty, throw that parachute on, and say, you know what? I'm either going to learn to fly, or I'm going to free fall. So, period. Yeah. You know that it's much quicker. You know, you're probably terrified for what, maybe 45 seconds,
Right,
opposed to
but it's
hours.
quietly a fun 45 seconds because like whoa, I'm like up here like a bird, but down there it's dark. Like you said, it's. I'm gonna be honest. I have know so little about sea life, especially that low. I could be terrified by just the creatures that flock. I mean that swim around. So I don't know. It's oh man, I'm getting anxiety just think of the freaking. Oh, the submersible was terrifying. That story was really scary. I really felt for them, and the crazy thing is they
So I'm
paid a
going to
lot
pivot
for that
here.
death.
I'm going to pivot here because I actually have a random would you rather as
Oh,
well. So let's say the parachute doesn't open, and let's say the 50-50 is you're not coming back up from the Titan
uh
thing.
huh.
Would you rather be saved by Superman, or would you rather be saved by Aquaman?
Here's why I say Superman because Aquaman is honestly, I'm gonna say it's a cool thing, but it's gonna scare me in real life. He's so versatile, like he can actually, you have no idea what kind of sea life he's gonna bring with him to help you. Like he can command all kinds of sea animals to just help you save you. Like I don't want to see sea aliens help me. Like I think I will just die by the fact that they look insane because I'm really so terrified of what is so below to where we will have no clue. Whatever is out there published is is just a certain level, but when we go further and lower, I think that's where we start to get in like alien territory, and I think they're gonna look insane. So I don't want to. I don't even want to imagine what the hell those things look like. So just Superman save me from above. I'd rather that because it's the devil I know instead of the devil I don't. What do you? What's it?
You know what? I'm taking Aquaman.
Really?
I'm taking Aquaman 100%. You know what? I'm a big comic book guy, but I don't know why Superman annoys me. So I'm going Aquaman. He's cool. He's got the long flowing hair, you know. Yeah. All right. So there's your would you rather for the day.